Guys, welcome to the Global Coaching Call, sponsored by Hearts and Minds and the Focus 5 team. I am your host, Corey Aldridge. I'm super excited as usual, but I'm even more excited because I got my boy, Ray, Coach Ray Navarrete. Dig me, Ray, entrepreneur, baseball player, thrives for the big moment because I've seen it live, I've seen it in person. King of Throwback Thursday pictures and videos, too. I ain't hate either. I'm mad. Them things give me hype. Ray, what's up, bro?
Yo, Core. First of all, super stoked, excited to be here. It's good to see you, man. I'll tell you what, anytime I'm feeling down on myself, pick me up for an intro because that intro got me feeling good again.
Hey, you're ready 3 for 3 right now, ready to hit.
Yeah.
So what's up, man? Are you a big football watcher? Because we just talked about the Broncos a little bit. You're a big football watcher?
You know what, man? I am. Listen, it's no secret. I definitely don't love any other sport as much as I love baseball, but I do love football, man. I'm a big Niners fan, believe it or not, even though I'm
really?
a Jersey boy. Yeah, big Niners fan. I do love watching football. Of course, I'm born and raised here out in New Jersey, so the whole tri-state area, New York, New Jersey kind of thing. So even though I'm not a Giants or Jets fan, I'm always tuning in. I'm always watching. Unfortunately, those two teams are going through some tough times, but I love football. It makes the weekends and it makes Sundays in particular, a little bit more fun and interesting.
What other sports did you play besides baseball?
Wow, man, that's a really great question because the answer is actually simple. I didn't, but I'm a huge basketball fan.
I was gonna say, I feel like you might be a baller,
man. I love basketball. I still love basketball. I was one of probably the millions of kids around the country that had a basketball hoop / like kind of half court at our house. So me and my boys, baseball guys, were always shooting hoops and playing pickup games. I thought about trying out in middle school. I had, of course, the middle school coach and the high school coach always asking the good athletes in the school if they would be willing to try out for the team. I thought about it. I was excited. I had my first little hiccup and little injury in 8th grade that kind of got me nervous where I missed some baseball time. And I'm one of those like old school, corny, obsessive baseball players where when I missed baseball because of an injury, it kind of freaked me out. So I was like, you know what? I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on baseball.
I grew up, so my father played a little bit with the 49ers back in the day. And
wow.
So I grew up feeling like I had to play football. And I never played football till I think I was in junior high or something like 7th grade. And like my mom, she wouldn't let me play Pop Warner. I was actually cool with that now that I got older and thought about it. But I never really thought that much about baseball. But my granddad got me into baseball. He would pick me up, on the weekends and take me to go to like little league games where he used to coach, and sausage on a stick and Frito pies and snow cones and go chase the foul balls and things like that. So that made me kind of fall in love with baseball. Then I found Fred McGriff and I was like, oh, this guy's freaking awesome. Yeah. What got you into baseball?
Wow, man. First of all, Fred McGriff, that just brings a smile.
Crime dog, bro.
The crime dog, man. That finish, man, is all-time legendary finish, right? Yeah. Well, that's a great segue. So it is such an easy answer for me. It's been the same answer since I've been a very little kid. And every time I tell people this answer, as you can see, I still have that big smile on my face. There's one reason and one person why I fell in love with the game of baseball. So, of course, like I keep saying, I grew up here. I grew up a diehard, big New York Mets fan. I still am. Of course, back in the day when I was growing up, unfortunately, they haven't won one since. But the 1986 Mets not only were world championship team, but they are still living legends. Like they're like an iconic, like legendary cult hero type of team. And of course, that team was led by guys like, Darryl and Doc and Gary. And when I was a little kid, Darryl Strawberry would walk up to the plate on TV, and I was little, right? One, he was massive and he was amazing and he hit all these home runs, but I was really intrigued by his last name. As a little kid, I'm like, here's this guy that everyone's cheering for, and they're just like stopping everything they're doing to watch this guy hit, and his last name is Strawberry. I thought he was the coolest player, but it turned out there was a period of time that I'm convinced he was the best player in Major League Baseball for years. And he will always be the reason why I fell in love with the game of baseball. Every time I talk about him, I still smile. And I'll tell you a very, very short, quick story. But last year, after all these years, the New York Mets retired Darryl's number. And, my daughter, Stella Rose, she was 4, turning 5 soon, and she had never been to a Major League Baseball game. So I said to my wife, I said, number one, we haven't been to a game all year. Number two, I'm going to see Daryl's number get retired. We have to go as a family. And I'll tell you what, when I took my wife and my daughter to that game, it was super emotional for me to see him in that moment. After everything he's gone through, everything he's overcome, to see that stadium with strawberries floating all over the scoreboard and the apple was decorated as a strawberry, it meant a lot to me. And my daughter still talks about Strawberry Daryl. Yeah,
Strawberry Daryl Day.
Yeah, so single-handedly, Daryl Strawberry is the reason why I fell in love with baseball.
Like he just has he has a baseball name. Like you're kind of the same way. Like you watch this guy. And I think arguably, he definitely would go down as one of the greatest players ever because he could do everything on the field. He could run, hit, throw, had a cannon for an arm, hit for power, hit for average.
Yep.
You name it, man. Knew the game, and it's one of the same stories. You sometimes we never see the best players get to play because of injuries or certain things off the field. Even like Dwight Gooden, even guys like Bo Jackson and things like that. It kind of sucks, but it just also leaves more aura to the legacy and legend of who those guys actually were. You're like, man, if this guy, played this many more years, what could he have done?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So most of you guys don't know this who are listening. Me and Ray have been roommates before, played together, played against the guy. It's very rare to see somebody that I would say that has as much passion for baseball as you do. I love the game. I'll say I did go through a period of time of bitterness of the game, but then I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you deal bad cards. Sometimes things happen out of your control. You played a lot of years, man. Like when you look back at your career, what are some of the most, I guess, mentally tough things you had to face? Not so much physical, but mental, and how did you handle those?
Yeah. Well, like yourself, I'm very, very fortunate to have played baseball for a very long time at a very, very high level, right? 14 years of professional baseball, albeit I came up, one phone call short of getting that phone call to the major leagues. But, I played with you. You were my teammate and my roommate in AAA for New York Mets. I've experienced some major league, big league games during spring training. And it was the most incredible ride of my career. But what I will tell you is, and what most people probably don't realize about being a pro baseball player and climbing and fighting that ladder, fighting your way up that ladder, the mental challenges far exceed the physical challenges.
Yes.
Of course, right? Like you and I both, we're competing against the best players in the country, if not the world, as we're fighting our way. And as you did, as you fought your way to the big leagues and then fought your way back to the big leagues, that is a challenge that's even hard to put into words. But all the other things that come along with it, right? Being away from home, being away from people that love you and support you, signing up for a job where you make mistakes, you're making it in front of thousands of fans, even if it's in the minor leagues, stadiums that have 5, 6, 7, 12,000 fans. That's a hell of a lot more than the average person that goes to work. When they make a mistake or have a bad day, they probably don't have that big of a crowd watching those mistakes. To be judged publicly, to have an open forum where people can criticize your athletic ability, physical ability every single day. It's a wear and tear. And I think that's why, when I talk to, people about my career, but when I just talk to people that are fans of baseball players, I always say, you got to give these guys a lot more credit than just whether or not they're hitting well or pitching well. They have to do it in a public forum. And whether you're making $20 million a year or $20,000 a year in the minor leagues, it's just not easy. And for me, those challenges, I failed quite some time. When you play 14 years of pro ball and you push the limits of fighting your way to the major leagues, I had a tremendous amount of failure. I tell all the kids that I coach now, I failed far more than I wish on any of these kids, right?
Yeah.
So that was tough. And I think when you fail and when you struggle and you're going through tough times and you're not able to come home and see mom and dad or see your siblings or see some of your close friends or, maybe a girlfriend or a wife that is there for you all the time, when you're not able to see them on a daily basis when you're going through that tough time, it makes it that much tougher. So, listen, I've been released twice. I've been traded. I've gotten a terrible phone call at 6:00 in the morning to come down to the lobby and be told that I'm getting released. I've been told that, hey, listen, we're sending you to AA for the 3rd straight year. I've been told that hey man, you can hit, we love you, but you know, right now you're not on the pecking order. Everyone else is in front of you, so you're gonna have to keep riding that bench. Yeah, when I say those things out loud, it wasn't easy, but I will say this: it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I say that a lot too with the kids. Like, I don't think that your average fan or person on the sidelines really understands how good a guy that even just gets drafted actually is. Like that one guy that, or just gets signed in general, but that guy that gets drafted, I don't care. And back in our days, a little bit different. Now, I don't know what your perspective is. I think these guys now have it easy.
Mm,
If you get signed, you're automatically getting some money. They're paying a lot more.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
taking care of your expenses. Like it's
yeah,
calling up guys young. You don't have to, you don't really have to do a whole lot to get there. Definitely you have to stay. But
yeah,
back when you had 50 rounds and
yeah.
7 or 8 teams in the minor leagues, I don't think that people realize like that one guy that may have gotten drafted in the 40th round is probably one of the best players you ever play with or against in
Oh,
high school,
oh
college.
my, dude, 100%. Listen, and I'm sure you probably know this about me. Like, I may be a little bit more biased to what you just said because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, first of all, I'll make you laugh. How many times have you ever, you know, and you're one of the fortunate ones, and of course, deserving. You did play in the major leagues, right?
Yeah.
But how many times have you heard someone say to someone like me who played 14 years of pro ball and A ball, double A, triple A, big league, spring training, the whole 9 yards, right? Oh man, it's too bad you came up short. You didn't go pro,
They don't get it, man. They
right?
don't get it.
Right? They don't get it, and I tell people all the time. You know, I'll take it a step further than what you said. You better believe it. The kid who gets drafted in the first round or the last round is by far one of the best players you ever seen with your own eyes. But what I tell my players, you know, I coach kids between the ages of 10 years old and now 17 that are getting college scholarships. I tell these players and their parents, the kid who's going to college, let alone a scholarship, the kid that's playing in college, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, I don't care any college. When you compare him to the actual full plethora of all the kids who started in Little League, the guy's a badass. You
Yeah.
know, I think we just get spoiled of watching the superstars on TV or like the superstar
Mhm.
guys at College World Series, and we think that's everybody. That's not everyone. That's the upper echelon of the top of the top.
I mean, you can probably agree with this. I know that again, I played from age 17 to like, I don't know, 34 or something like that.
Yeah,
But like, there's guys that I know for a fact that never made it even out of double A that I know for a fact just because of the numbers or how the thing was set up, they just make it. Like it could be injuries, didn't make
yeah,
it because like think about the guy that played behind Cal Ripken, was it Ryan Miner?
yeah, yeah,
He got a couple of times, he played the bigs for a little bit, but he
yeah,
never got much run playing behind a guy like Derek Jeter. I think
yeah,
Romero Pena played a little bit in the big leagues, but playing behind guys that don't get hurt in that era where it wasn't, especially back then where you had to actually play and hit.
yeah,
Like I remember talking to Gary Sheffield one time. He's like, yeah, man, well, when we were coming up and things, you had to hit 280, 300 to get called up. Now these dudes are hitting
yeah,
210 with 3 homers. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a prospect.
yeah,
And I'm not hating. I am, I am hating. I am hating.
yeah,
But it was just different times. But I mean, there's just for the fans out there in general, it's like guys understand how good some of these guys are that didn't make it. That coach that you're playing for right now that played in double A
yeah,
might not be because he wasn't that good. It could be, front office things.
yeah.
Again, there's a lot of players back then. Now, again, it's a little bit different now.
Yeah, listen, I feel that personally every day. You know, like I know you mentioned, you know, I do take a lot of pride. I've never had a bitter taste of
Yeah.
my career of professional baseball ever. You know, extremely grateful that I played as long as I did, and I think I pushed the envelope. And I always tell people this: I think I had enough people in the front offices, enough organizations, and enough of my peers, guys like you that played in the big leagues, that at the least they ask themselves, dude, I think he might be able to play in the big leagues. And for me, that's an accomplishment in itself, you know. But to your point, like an example, and I can't blame the scouts, but the scouts were very worried about me. Like they were worried about my size. Was I big enough? Was I strong enough? Was I going to be able to hit with power, with wood? Did I run fast enough? And because of that, you know, I didn't get drafted after my senior year at Seton Hall, where I had like a monster senior year in Division I baseball. Luckily for me, I still got a phone call as a free agent, but I didn't have a lot of financial money behind my signing.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, it's not an excuse because there are other people that sign as minor league free agents like me that did pull it off. But the amount of money that you sign for does help your cause, does make
Dictates a
you
lot.
does make you a priority. And I believe in my heart that if I had a little bit of that financial um, power behind me, after I had a couple of big years in the minor leagues where I literally got myself on the map, I think things may have been a little bit different. I may have had a little bit more runway when I struggled. Instead of struggling for 1 week and they're like, "Oh, see, we told you about Ray. He was a Cinderella story. Let's just put him back on the bench." Maybe if I would have signed for a little bit more money, I would have had a little bit more of a runway, and maybe things turned out differently. Um, it's but I say this in their defense too. It's a tough gig for everybody.
Yeah.
It's hard for scouts to get it right all the time. They get it wrong a lot as well too. Are there a lot of players, and I believe this in my heart, maybe guys like me, that were talented enough and good enough and proved that they could have played a day in the big leagues? I do. But there's just not enough room, man.
Yeah.
There's just not enough room. The math doesn't add up, and unfortunately, there'll be players that we all know that unfortunately didn't get the phone call. But I bet you if you ask all of them, it was definitely worth the attempt. That's for sure.
I think people don't realize. I think like I went to the MLB winter meetings. I got invited to this like player summit thing to like go there and talk and do some things, whatever, and meet people. And they had everybody's like number of where they got drafted. At the time, it was like 45,000. There's only been like 45,000 major leaguers. Probably right now it's probably maybe 48 or something like that.
Yeah.
And since the history of Major League Baseball, and I just think about how small that pool is, and like the one thing I will say about you, and I've always said it since the day I met you, like the one thing that I think the best part of your game was this, and that's where a lot of people fail at. Like I wasn't good at that early in my career until I got around some older guys. Like I was physically gifted, 100%, could run, hit, throw,
no doubt,
do all types of things. The one thing I didn't have good mentors. I didn't have people around me when I came up that really helped guide me through that situation. And where I kind of messed up, was when I had my first surgery. And I said all the time, I should have rehabbed with the major league team, because that's what I need to be around at that time.
Yeah.
But what gave you that tenacity, that desire? Like, it's like that you didn't care about that pitcher. No. Like if you were, in my mind, if you were 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, was the same person. Like no joke. Like I don't know. I can still. I remember you were in Long Island. I don't know if you were in the playoffs or something. I do in the playoffs. Yeah, I did, because I hit like 3 home runs in one game. But
that is true.
But I can remember. I called it that day too. I called right before the game because I had to break the record. But I always remember just seeing your face at bat, man. Like I even watch your videos now. You still have it, but like you getting there and you got the head forward, and it's like it's just you and the pitcher, man. And like I've always admired that, and that's the one thing I talk to my players that I coach with or train is like hitting is a mentality. Baseball playing is a mentality more than it is a skill. And if you don't have that, or that I want to win or I want to fight, doesn't matter what you do as far as lessons and playing goes. But like, where did you get that from? Your parents? Just being in Jersey? What's up, man?
Well, you just hit the nail. You hit the nail like square on. Number one, of course, I was very lucky to have parents and family members and my brother, who also played high school and college baseball. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't allow me to talk out loud that I couldn't do it, I couldn't hit. Mm-hmm. That I think they wouldn't accept that from me. And two, I'm from Jersey. I'm not the biggest dude. I don't have the biggest muscles, but I'm from Jersey, and I take a lot of pride in us Jersey boys. We got to practice outside in the cold for 6-7 months a year. So there's a little bit of a I have that chip on my shoulder kind of thing. And to be quite honest with you, I was always that kid that I had to prove to every big time coach like I could do it, because I wasn't the biggest kid in the group. And to be honest with you, I just got so sick and tired of people telling me no. And I to your point about like hitting being a mentality, I post, as I post a lot of content as a baseball coach, Coach Ray all day, and I do a lot of hitting lessons. And I use the phrase all the time, hungry hitters hit. And every time that I stepped in the batter's box, from the moment I was in high school until my last game that I ever played in pro ball, which was against you in Somerset, I always had something to prove. I was trying to convince everybody that I don't care who else is on the field. I don't care if that kid is an all-state pitcher across on the mound, from a different high school. I don't care if, there's another All-American that's playing for the other college that I'm playing against. Like, it sounds crazy. Like, I'm nowhere as gifted as you. But when I used to play against you and all those other guys that were just like studs, this is how crazy and delusional I was. I would convince myself that if Corey Aldridge is the best hitter on the field, well, he's tied with me. Because I'm going to go out there, and I may not look as big, but if Corey's getting 3 or 4 hits, well, I'm going to get 3 or 4 hits. Now, of course, there are a lot of nights that didn't happen because baseball is better than all of us. But there were a few nights that it did happen. And I think that is why over the course of my career, people were like shocked, like, how is this kid doing it? I think I just convinced myself that I was good. And I tell the kids I coach all the time, I may never have been good at baseball. I just convinced myself so big and bad that I could do it, that I actually believed in it. And I think whether you're in high school, college, if you're working your way up in the minor leagues, or even the guys that we like admire and watch in the big leagues, if you dig into the batter's box and you believe you're a badass, if you dig in the batter's box and you're hungry to hit, you're not hoping to hit, you're going to hit. And I think that's what these kids nowadays that you're working with, that I'm working with, I'm all, me, we can go into a whole thing about do I love swag and drip and cleats and bat. I was all about that. But these kids are focusing so much on, are they getting the new drop bat?
Dude, it drives me nuts, man.
But they're not hungry and hunting fastballs early in the count. So it is a mentality, Corey. You know it. Listen, you have to have talent. You have to be, physically talented. But at the end of the day, if you have the biggest muscles and the quickest hands and, the power to hit the ball to the light towers, but you don't swing it 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 fastballs, I hate to break it to you. You're gonna let guys like me make some moves on you, and that's just the truth.
You said it on the Hail though, like delusional. Like I tell, like I've been around. We've all been around a lot of guys, and and I'll be honest, some of the guys that didn't have the most talent, like even like a Dustin Pedroia, wasn't a great, but
that's amazing.
That delusional mindset, and I tell guys all the time, so you have to almost create a alter ego character to go play, because, and we both know guys that are like that, like on the field, totally different guys than off the field.
Oh, dude,
like a Max Scherzer or something. When his lights on, don't talk to me. And it's like, dude, what's up? Hey, no, don't talk to me. But you have to, and I've had kids like that where I'm like, man, what's your favorite player? Who's your favorite superhero? They're like, Iron Man. I'm like, well, be Iron Man. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, be that mindset. Like when you're hitting, create that character and then go play and visualize what you want to do and create that character. And like, you have to have that delusion because, man, you're going to take an over 20. You're going to take over 30. You're going to have a great month, a great week, a bad day. You're going to face a guy that everybody's hitting and you can't hit him. And you're going to face Mariano Rivera and you're going to get your hit and nobody else can hit him. And, you have to have that delusional mindset. And that kind of even segues me into my next thought is like another thing that I admired about you, and most of you guys will know, Ray has been an entrepreneur. This is back in the MySpace days where I remember creating a MySpace page with that logo on his hat right there. Dig me. Right. But it takes a lot for somebody to step out and bet on themselves as a human being. Like I admire, as I've gotten older now, because I've seen some areas where I didn't do something, not because I didn't want to, maybe I didn't have the people around me, and I've been, we all get screwed over by people where I don't step out. But again, same thing, like how did you have the ability, confidence, wherewithal, those things to even step out on yourself and say, you know what, man, I'm going to take a chance on starting a business, losing money, making money, losing friends, making friends, possibly getting screwed over. My wife ain't going to like this, all these types of things. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a great question, man. I think number one, it's probably a couple of things, you and I go way back. So, my personality has always been kind of like, listen, bet on yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, shout out to all the guys in the minor leagues, right? That maybe didn't sign for a lot of money. Yeah. Listen, if you're grinding and living the dream, I mean, that's a big bet on yourself, right? So, I always had that in me. Number two, I've always had a lot of interest outside of baseball for as much as I am passionate, like, baseball is my thing. but I always wanted to start a business, and I always wanted to do something creative. And a lot of times when people would say, I don't know, most businesses fail, it's going to cost you a lot of money, you're going to lose a lot of money, have you heard all these nightmare stories? But and of course, and to be honest with you, I probably checked off all those boxes trying to do what I've done. But when I was coming up in the minor leagues, like you, or not maybe every player, but at the time, like I was single, meaning like I wasn't married, I had no children, I didn't have a mortgage, so in my head, and this maybe led to some more challenging times as I got older, but in my 20s and early 30s, I was willing to forgo leaving baseball sooner for that maybe corporate job that everyone tries to get and build a career, to live my dream, because it was so important for me that, number one, I promised myself when I was a little kid that I would play at the highest level that baseball would allow for as long as I could, and as long as the manager and the pitching coach across the dugout was scared of me when I was in the batter's box. And I believe that I held my word. I played for as long as I could, and I did it to my last game. And I was willing to risk, being in the minor leagues and maybe not starting a career where I could have started making more money, because I do believe that you only get one life. And I love nothing more than playing professional baseball. It was a dream come true, and it still brings a smile to my face that I did it for as long as I did. In regards to starting a business and starting a brand, I probably had more failures and more bumps in the road doing that than anybody that I know. And I'll never look back with any regret. You were part of a group that watched me try my best to take one awesome T-shirt and one hat, and it took over a decade, and a lot of failures and a lot of money that I lost and a million mistakes that I look back and I'm like, I'm just an idiot. But the one thing we did well was I was super passionate about it. This logo right here went from a cardboard box in the minor league clubhouses of the New York Mets and landed in Lids and landed in Bloomingdale's, and a lot of major league players were wearing our clothes. And unfortunately, right now we took a right hook to the jaw a few years ago. But I've always told people this, whether there's a few people still wearing it or if I'm the only one, he has a lot of my traits, and I wouldn't bet against him that he's gonna pop up and show up again and make another run, because I just believe that whether it's you or me or anyone who's watching, we only got one shot at this, one life, and the only thing that truly makes you happy, I truly believe, is chasing your dreams. And I'm not here to tell people that they should forego a great job that they have that's making good money and paying the bills for their family and take a risk and risk stuff for their family. But what I'm saying is, I truly believe that there's enough room and enough time that if there's something that people want to do, that they're passionate about, and it's important to them, that you can find a way to do both. And I think I'm an example of that. Right now I have a full-time career, as you know. I also have a growing baseball business. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the guy in the tie showed up sometime soon and made another shot, took another shot at it.
Shoot, I still want my little dress up button down, like the nice little dignity. That's what I want, man. I still need to get you to make some of those. I think when I get back to wearing my suits again. Hey, guys, first of all, before we go back, download the Focus 5 app. Jacob, the producer, will hopefully put the link in the chat and or the screen. Awesome app, 5 minutes a day. Mental coaching is the motto and is the goal. Ray, we got to get your guys on the app too, by the way.
Yeah, man. Awesome. You're absolutely right. And it's okay. You can put me on the spot. We absolutely do. We have one of my closest friends and my baseball partner, Coach Carlos Ruiz, and I started our own travel baseball organization out here in Central Jersey called Double Major Baseball. And
Double Major.
Double Major.
I'm bringing a chapter out here. Apparently, I'm coming out of retirement to coach.
Listen, Double Major, Houston, Texas. We're ready. We'll fly down and get you set up. But we're super proud of what we built. I mean, listen, 3.5 years ago, we started with one team, 12 kids. We just got done with our fall season last weekend, 10 teams, 120 players, doing our first college showcase at Seton Hall University this Tuesday. And you're right. We need to collaborate. We need to get these kids on the site, on the app, because I'll tell you what, to your point, you started this conversation. Where a lot of kids are struggling. It is the mental side.
It is, man.
And I don't want to say things have changed because, I don't want to sound like that old guy now, but
back in my day,
things have changed. I do feel like, I don't want to say that things are off, but I will say that the way kids are handling competition, the way kids are handling being coached, the way kids are handling adversity,
Fear.
it's different than when we were growing up, Core, for whatever reason. And um, I see it because I coach every day. And, these players, they need some help. They need some guidance. And listen, they need it from people other than just their parents or
Mhm.
coaches like myself. Listen, there's probably a lot of people, if anyone's watching this right now, that may be excited that you're talking to me, Coach Ray, like, oh, from afar, Coach Ray's the man. Listen, you ask my players that see me uh, 2 practices a week and both days on the weekends. I promise you, most of those guys are tired of hearing my voice, right? So it is important for all kids to have somebody, a team in their corner that they can lean on, that they could rely on, that they can talk to, that they can learn from. So absolutely, man, we gotta keep pushing forward and collaborate, between Double Major and Hearts and Minds and what you guys are doing.
I'm still trying to, and it is different. I'm disappointed that the majority of players that I see, they don't like a challenge.
No,
They don't like difficult things. They don't want. It's very rare that guys want to push the limits. And everybody, I won't say everybody, the majority of players that I see, not even necessarily in my cage, because we kind of have it out all the time, but everybody just wants this comfort zone, but also
yeah,
they want a pat on the back. And I mean, I can go, it's at home and it is, and it's at school and it is. There's a myriad of things. There's a myriad of things that, and then everybody has to tolerate everything every time. You can't, it is weird, but I do miss the days of being able to challenge somebody. One thing I talk about a lot, and we've talked about it before, but like as coaches, and I said it before, is that sometimes we are the only avenue that some of these kids even have to even
yeah,
have real
yeah,
conversations as
yeah,
coaches. So a lot of us as coaches know your kids way more than their parents know them,
yep,
because we have more open dialogue that they feel comfortable talking to.
yeah,
And so for you parents that are listening, that will listen, kind of think about that, because I know, like I said, a lot of times we lose. A lot of times you guys are losing your kids and their performance on the ride home or the ride to the game.
yeah,
And if you don't have that open dialogue, that environment for them to be able to make mistakes and then be able to learn from those mistakes,
yeah,
this is when kids start to quit on you guys. We got a question, by the way.
yeah.
And I was going to ask you, so it's good. How did you prepare, or kind of how did you preparation factor into? Oh, how did your preparation factor into your play in the minor leagues? I had to kind of read through that because it wasn't right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So for me, I was a very structured guy, man.
Mhm.
Kind of now looking back, I think this word can be scary for some, but now looking back and what I'm learning also in business and my outside baseball career, um, what I've learned is the most successful people in anything in the space that they're obsessive about it. And obsessive doesn't have to be a negative. It just
Yes.
means that obsessive has to be, you know, you're going about your job and your work every day at such a high standard, at such a high level that um, nothing's going to deter it. And for me, when I was coming up through college and pro ball, I was the kind of guy that if stretch was at 3:15, I was at the stadium at 12. I was in the cage at 12:30, and I would hit 100 to 200 balls off the tee before a teammate or hitting coach even showed up. I mean, I tell my players they think I'm crazy, but I enjoyed it. I would get to the stadium at 12. I did the same thing every day. I would drive to Starbucks. I get a venti caramel macchiato. I show up. I walk in the clubhouse. I change. I'd walk into the batting cage weight room area of the stadium. I'd put on some Jay-Z, and for an hour, I would just hit off the tee by myself. So I was 100, 200 swings in before a teammate even
Yeah.
walked in. And I remember there were a lot of times like, you know, guys, teammates are always going to bust your chops, and they're
No,
always going to get on
why
your.
you in
Oh,
here
Ray, what are
again?
you doing here? Oh my God, this guy
Yeah.
too good. Goody two shoes. You're always here early, right?
Super
But
Ray.
but then you know what happens? A late night in July in the 7th inning when you're 3 for 3 again, they're looking at you, and you know why they're looking at you, because they're realizing, hey, listen, being obsessive in a good way like that, and having a routine every single day, and not letting anything get in the way of that. can change everything. So to answer that question, preparation is everything, and you have to be obsessed with your preparation. It's cliche. What does it say? If you fail to prepare, you're going to prepare to fail, right? So you can't just show up, man. Baseball's way too hard. I tell my boys, baseball's better than all of us.
I had I had Chipper Jones on a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Dominique Rhodes, football player, friend of mine, at Donaldson the other day, and even had a college coach, Naomi, the other day. And we've all said the same thing. And and just going through my years of playing, and for all you guys too, like we were talking about minor leagues or major leagues, a 7 o'clock game, we're there at the park at 1 o'clock at least.
Oh, easily.
And if you have a really good clubhouse, oh man, you best believe I'm there early. But yeah, we got ping pong, okay. Yeah. But I think the consensus is, or like the one thing that I'm finding that I've always seen, and even myself, everything is routine. Everything, guys that play a long time tend to do almost the same thing every single day.
Every day.
Like I think Wade Boggs said, hey, they said he ate chicken pretty much every single day.
Every day.
But, I used to watch BJ Surhoff. This guy had already played 10, 12, 13 years in the big leagues. But crap, if stretch was at 3, he's on the field stretching already an hour before. Just because he's older, he didn't want to pull things. But it was every single day.
Yep.
Like there's the occasional one-off. Like, and even for me, the only days, and I was very sparingly on this, the only days that I really didn't go to the cage that day is if I had been playing a lot. Coach is like, hey, you're not playing tomorrow, which is very rare. And I'm like, Coach, I'm not doing anything. And I still, I'll take batting practice. That's usually, and that's where I'll take my easiest batting practice. I might launch a couple, but it's usually the same thing. But it's every, and again, for you guys, especially you younger guys, it's not just the one day hitting with your coach that week.
No.
Take the things that you've learned, or pitching or defense, take the things that you've learned in that lesson. Hey, coach, what do I want to reinforce? Well, everything we just learned today.
Yeah.
Go reinforce that so the next day, because the problem I see a lot of times is that sometimes the only work you guys are getting is at that practice or that lesson you have with that coach. Because sometimes in practice, y'all don't have the time to do the intricate things you need to go do.
100%.
But to what Ray said it's routine. It's repetition, routine. And for you guys that want to play big time baseball, you have to ingrain yourself in baseball and watch it.
Yeah.
There's nothing more nerve wracking than when I'm like, hey man, do you watch baseball? Sometimes. Who's your favorite player? They'll look at their parents.
Yep.
Like it's not their job to answer who's your favorite player is.
No, you're right.
Don't be like that guy that plays third base for the Rangers. What's his name? What's he do? Why do you like him? Mm-hmm. And again, that's another thing that lets me as a coach, let alone even college coaches, like if I don't think that you're ingrained in baseball, it's a hard sell for me to take you seriously.
Oh yeah. You really hit the nail on the head there. And listen, if I get on a little rant here, like I'm not judging any young player, because me as a coach, I really believe, and it's not an act or anything. It's just my personality. Like I'm very positive. I try to be encouraging. I'm far from perfect, but that's just my style, right? The only thing that frustrates me sometimes is, I don't think a lot of players are being honest with themselves. So like I'll have a conversation with the player and maybe down the road, the parent. If a player says to me, yo, Coach Ray, man, like I'm all in. I want to do what you and Corey, or like my coaching partner, Coach Carlos, I want to go on that journey. I want to try to earn a college scholarship. I want to try to earn a professional baseball contract. Well, when they say that to me at 12, 13, 14 years old, then I'm expecting them to be all in. And what that means is it can't just be part-time. It has to be all the time. It can't just be some days. It has to be every day. Now, I know maybe there might be some parents that hear me say that and say, well, Coach Ray, that's a little too much. You can't push these kids. They need to be kids. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they say that they go on this journey, if they say that they want to accomplish these things, there is no in between.
Yeah.
You have to be all in. You have to do it every single day. You have to be willing to make this a big part of your life. It's got to be academics and athletics on the baseball field, right? There's a lot of things you have to be willing to sacrifice. And I think right now, and I totally get it. Listen, I'm going to learn this. I'm sure, with my daughter, Stella, she's 5, soon to be 6. Parents are doing their best to juggle, like push your
Mhm.
kids to want to be hungry and to want to be ambitious and to be, you know, to be awesome in their sport while at the same time, you know, letting them be a kid and enjoy life. Absolutely. But the reality is this: you can't have both if you're not willing to sacrifice something. So what I tell all the kids that I coach now from middle school to high school is, listen, I hate to break it to you. If you want to be a badass on your varsity baseball team, if you want to earn that scholarship, if you want to one day have that slim chance of earning a pro contract, you're going to have to sacrifice time on the video games that all your other friends are doing. You're going to have to sacrifice, you know, going to a mall on Friday and Saturdays when all your boys are going. You're going to have to sacrifice, you know, just hanging out with the guys. You're going to have to sacrifice, you know, and miss a lot of social things. It's just part of it, right? If you're going to be a big time baseball player, you have to be willing to sacrifice. And I think that's where a lot of players, they're trying to figure that out. Are they ready to? And it's like life, you know. If you want something big, if you want to take a big swing at something and try to accomplish something big, unfortunately, you're going to have to sacrifice some things to get there. And I think that's where a lot of these young players, they're trying to navigate that. I'm not saying it's easy. I just know that guys like you and me and a lot of other guys that we played with and against, and the guys that we're seeing now, the younger players that are accomplishing great stuff in college and getting drafted. There's no in between for those dudes, man. They're all in. And if you're going to be successful in baseball, you have to be all in.
You have to be, and I'm just speaking from what I've seen, what I've done. Sometimes people don't think when you're doing, and it's again, it's kind of cliche. Like, you know, if you want something you've never had, you got to do things most people are not going to do, things
Yep.
something like that, right? And a lot of you guys, none of you guys do know what it takes because you haven't been there. But
Yep.
we're telling you from experience and what we've
Yep.
seen. We both have played or met guys or played against guys that are now in the Hall of Fame. We
Yes.
both have played against guys or played with guys that have played 10 and 20 years in the big leagues, have been all-stars. It has to be, it has to be life. Like I remember my friends, like, you know, I used to have like a little weight set in my room, like, and my friends would be like, hey man, let's go here. And I pick up the phone and they can hear, they're like, you lifting weights again? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I was always doing something, push-ups, whatever it is. I sacrificed a lot of house parties and hanging out late.
Yes.
And I had a lot of fun as a kid, man. Don't get me
Yep.
wrong. But like, it was just a lot of things that I really didn't want to be a part of, truthfully, because from my perspective and where I kind of grew up at, the people there was no fruits from the labor of those people that I saw.
Yeah.
So I grew up around, there's guys that were winos and guys that did some drugs and things like that. It wasn't a big violent neighborhood, but it wasn't a prominent neighborhood at all. So like, the people that I would see and the people that I was around, I wanted to do the opposite. I didn't want to live in that neighborhood. I don't even know why people want to now, but it didn't take pride in living in that neighborhood, especially as I got older, because you start learning what the real world looks like.
Yeah.
And so I knew for a fact that I didn't want to go that way where everybody else is going, because I knew the road following that ideology, that mentality was going to take me, versus, you know, going the other way, listen to people that may have been going somewhere where I want to go, and sacrificing friends, time, and fun, I would say, to kind of get where I want to go, man. But you have to.
You have to. I have to just touch on this. I say this, you know, I'm kind of like in the same space as you, right? Like every once in a while we do some speaking presentations and speaking engagements, and you know, I had an organization reach out to me last spring, right before the 2025 season started, and it was really cool, man. You know, to be on stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, and I'm sharing my story, and you know, and I touched a little bit on this topic, right? And I've had a saying, I've been saying it for years, and I showed some of my videos where I talked to my kids about it. But this day, I made a point that this saying was a big part of my presentation, and I say this all the time. There's a big difference between being a baseball player and being on the baseball team. And I say this with utmost respect for every kid, because any kid that loves baseball, like, I love you for loving baseball. I'm happy that you're excited to be on the field. But there is a big difference between being a baseball player and being on the baseball team. The kid that's on the baseball team, he kind of goes through the motions. He's at practice. He doesn't want to do the extra work. He doesn't hustle. He only hustles when the coaches are looking at him. But he's super stoked and super proud to wear the gear, to tell people that he plays for Coach Ray or for Coach Corey, to wear that team's logo when he's in the hallways of school, to tell those other friends that he's on the team and he's going to the team party. That's the kid that's really happy to be on the baseball team. It's a big part of who he is socially. But a baseball player, that guy shows up every day to put in the work. Like he's on a mission. He's doing the drills to get better. He's doing the drills to hone his craft. He's doing the drills so one day he's going to outwork and out compete and beat his competition. That's a baseball player. And I tell all my players and I ask them this, are you a baseball player or are you just happy to be on a baseball team? And unfortunately, like I said earlier, I don't think a lot of players and families are being honest when they answer that question. Because if they were being honest, they would act a lot differently in their lessons and at practice.
Donaldson said something the other day, and like I said, me and him, we talk a lot off off camera and things like that. Like I do, the one thing I do miss, I didn't say that. I don't think I said it on the live on the podcast last time, but like he's a super confident guy. But I would get calls sometimes at 12 o'clock at night, and I knew something was up. It could have been just anything. Like, hey man, I'm like, bro, it's 12:30 at night, man. What you want? Oh, I'm just saying, man. We'll just be talking. He'll have a dip in his mouth and talking things like that. But that's a guy that kind of said the same thing. That was a baseball player. And I think that we've got into the arena now where it's like you said, everybody's happy because they're on the team.
Yeah.
They get the uniform. They have the bat. They have 3 and 4, hot Rawlings, Easter hypes or whatever. You got all this equipment. You got $1,000 worth of equipment and like $10 worth of game. And a coach told me this one day. I went to go watch some high school kids play, and I walked up. The coach's head was in his hands, and he was beaten, man. It was a tough game that he was watching. And I was like, "What's up?" He just looked up and he goes, "Corey, there's people out here. They're out here for something to do, and there's people out here trying to do something."
Ooh.
And yeah, I'll never forget that, man. That's like I did not expect it from that guy. He was a younger guy too, but he just had it. And I watched the game about 2 minutes. I understand why, because the team at the time, they weren't bad players. They just didn't have any heart. They didn't sometimes I'm like, do you guys not care if you guys are getting beat?
Yeah.
It's not to go cry and whine about it. It's like, I have a tough time. One day we're playing the Mariners and we're at home and they came in and swept us and I'm hot. I'm crushing baseball. I'm like the only guy at this time. Like, I'm doing it, man. And I'm like, at this time, I'm an older guy. And we go out one night. I take some of the guys, and we go out, and the Mariners were out there. And I'm like, they're having more fun than you guys out in the club.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, you're letting these guys come here, take your girls, have your fun, and they're beating you guys at home. At some point, like, and at that point, we end up getting hot. But I'm like, some of you guys, as you younger players, are letting people come to your home field and just disrespect you guys, and it's okay.
We talk about this all the time. My coaching partner, Coach Carlos, he gets so fired up about this, and I'm right there with him. It's a different time, Core. Back in the day when we were growing up, like sometimes I don't want to.
I know what it is, though, but go ahead.
I don't want to get on the kids too much, right? Because, times have changed. But back in the day when you and I played, if you lost a game, whether it was like middle school or high school, you got in the car, you went home, like you were fired up because kids cared about the uniform. They cared about their school, whether they lost to a rival school. Like nowadays, unfortunately, that's not the case. The kids are growing up in a time where it's less about team. It's more about my stats, my metrics, my analytics. How am I showcasing at these tournament platforms? It's about upselling me. And I'm not saying that some of that is not important down the road. But
it's got to be a balance, though.
The kids have lost the pride in competing as a team, wanting to win championships, not letting teams come to their town or their school and beat them. It's a different time. And I think that's part of why, I'm really, really committed to this whole coaching journey, because I don't just want to help kids get better in the batter's box or feel the ground ball better, although that is a passion of mine and my responsibility at practice. But I'm trying to help as many kids as I can learn the skills that aren't in the 5 tools. Take pride, be hungry, be obsessive, play with a chip on your shoulder. I tell my kids all the time, and hopefully this is not, cross the line live right now, but I tell my kids all the time, like, our goal today is to kick ass, and you can kick
100%.
ass. You can kick ass with class. You can do it with class. You can do it with character, because every time that we take it to another team, that's a good lesson for those players and
Hmm.
those kids. Because trust me, we've been on the other side of it. You know, as a coach, do we have some amazing double major teams? You better believe it. Have we gotten it taken to a bunch of times? You better believe it.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, I believe from my coaching eyes right now, these kids are growing up in a little bit different a time where there's really less about the team aspect, and it's about, you know, me and how can I show off and how can I show
How
these
can I
other
look?
coaches that I could be, you know, that I can get recruited. And I don't think any athlete, including baseball, if you don't have the desire to win, not the desire to get a scholarship, not the desire to get accolades, all that's great. You got a bunch, I got a bunch, and they make us feel good. But I promise you this, none of those accolades felt as good as when you and I won a championship during our career and we were popping champagne and partying with our teammates. That's where it's at. And unfortunately, you know, this generation right now, I think they need more coaches to kind of teach them that that is important. It's not just about their individual performances.
I had a coach tell me one time, he's a pitching guy, and he's sometimes getting a lot of arguments online or whatever. Sometimes it's kind of funny, but he told me, he goes, we got to get back to kids not wanting to lose again and kids
Yep.
wanting to win. And what I see a lot is organizations have this winning culture where it's about the coaches winning and the
Yes.
organization winning,
Yep.
but we're not necessarily teaching the kids how to be winners and
Yep.
also how to lose. And what I always say, I said this for a number of times, like, we grew up watching karate movies. We grew up watching movies like Rocky and things that
Yes.
were like endearing. And as soon as you got done with this movie back in the 80s and 90s, you're like, I got to go win something, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking for something. You're like, I'm
100%.
pumped up. I watched
100%.
John Claude Van Damme just go through this and beat everybody up.
Yeah.
I just watched Schwarzenegger. You know, you watched all these movies back in the day that were like endearing. They had the montage, like movie
Yeah.
Rad. This dude Rad had a whole 2-minute montage of him jumping and doing
Yep.
backflips on a bike, and
Yep.
he comes from the gutter and he wins. And like all of a sudden, you're like, man, I could do that.
Yep.
They don't even have that anymore.
They don't.
Like it's. I don't know what. Listen, I told my son, and he's 22, and I got another one that's 23. But I'm like, I don't want to grow up in y'all's era, man. The only plus that you guys have is y'all have a lot of information that most of you guys don't even use.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys, you younger guys have the advantage, but y'all don't use it. But y'all just y'all don't have. We've got to get back. Like, as a coach, I want to coach that kid that's like, we got to figure out a way to win this game. That will go farther than your physical ability more times than not, because you won't quit. You want to
absolutely. I'll say this to you, and I really mean this. I believe now it is beyond uber competitive now. You know, like so many tournament platforms and individual player rankings, and everyone's got their own player bios and all. So it just seems like there are more and more high level kids that are playing. But I tell my kids this all the time. It may never be easier to stand out. If you're willing to go all in, if you're willing to outwork your competition, if you're willing to show up every day with a goal and a plan, and you're willing to work hard with your coaches, if you're willing to out hustle your competition, if you're willing to care about the name and logo across your chest, if you're willing and caring enough to say, hey, listen, winning on this team matters, buying into this culture matters, buying into this organization matters, I promise you, you are going to stand out. Because college coaches, where that's their livelihood to be employed as a coach, you know, where if they don't win enough, they could lose their job. I know those college coaches, they do want physically talented players. And they want big dudes with power and guys who can run and guys who can throw heat off the bump, no doubt. But they're also looking for the players with those intangibles, because those are the players that are going to help the college coaches keep their job. That's just the bottom line. Those college coaches, they need to win, right? They want to win. They want to build a winning culture. And you can't have a winning program unless you have both physically talented players, right? And players who care about the team, the organization, and the culture. And right now, I feel like there are just so many players. They're all in on themselves, and they don't know what it means to be all in on the team. You know, we tell our kids all the time, we want players and families that believe in our organization. They believe in the coaches. They believe in our philosophy. They believe in the long-term plan. I'm not saying it's easy, but I know if I was a coach in those positions in college, I'd be looking for the kids that care about
100%.
winning, not just about the kids that have exceptional, metrics at showcase performances. Because just because you showcase well doesn't mean that you're going to
Don't
play
mean
well.
you can play. And I think you said it correctly. I think it is very. I can walk on the field 9 times out of 10, and in 10 minutes, I can tell you the players that I'm like, I like that guy.
Yeah,
I like
100%.
that guy. It could be
100%.
just the way they walk on the field, how they wear their uniform, what they're not doing, what they're not paying attention to, things like that.
Here, I'll give you something real quick. I'll ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Right? Because it just popped up. And once again, and this is not because I try not to judge this generation because they're growing up. This is how they're growing up. This is the time and the culture of baseball that they're used to. Just like we're used to being nitty and gritty and like having to fight for everything. Okay, so we have to give them a little bit of grace and a little bit of slack.
Yeah, always.
But I also believe that part of it is, I believe a lot of these players growing up are getting things that they haven't earned yet. And I'll give you a quick example.
You're doing this on purpose. You know where I'm going with this.
I'm going to give you an example because we were teammates in the same clubhouse, okay? When we were with the New York Mets in spring training, we broke camp in Port St. Lucie, AAA. Big moments for both of us, right? You were trying to get back to the big leagues, and I couldn't believe I was leaving Port St. Lucie, one team away from Shea Stadium, right? This was crazy. Until I arrived in Norfolk, Virginia with you, you were my roommate nonetheless, not just my teammate. We were roommates, had a sick pad, by the way.
It was nice.
Our lockers were next to each other. I remember the night before opening night, showing up in Norfolk, putting our stuff in the lockers. I'm like, this is amazing. And our uniforms, our jerseys were hanging up in the locker. Corey, it was the very first time in my career that I saw my last name on the jersey.
Really?
So I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying I'm not the grumpy old man coach.
Yeah.
But I was 25, 26, 27. And I hadn't seen my last name Navarrete on a jersey. But now, and I don't blame them because they have the resources, and I'm going to learn this as a parent. You want to give your kids everything. Now at 9, 10, 12, 16, these kids have 3, 4 jerseys, their names on it. They got the matching drip. Back in the day, you and I, we had to earn those little things. But those little things, like having your name on your jersey back then, they meant so much to us. I'll never forget seeing my name on my jersey right next to yours in AAA with the New York Mets. And it took me 20 years. And now it's taking a lot of these kids 20 minutes to get a lot of things that you and I work so hard for. And I think that when things come a little bit easier, or when you're told how good you are all the time, it's only natural. It's only natural to have less drive, less determination, a lot of complacency. It's just natural. And I think that it's our obligation as coaches, you, me, my partner, Coach Carlos, all the other great coaches online, all the guys doing their thing that aren't online that we don't know about that are great coaches. It's our job. It's our responsibility to teach these kids that they have to earn it. They can't just be given. They can't be given it just right when they walk in the door because they'll never work hard. They'll never push through adversity. And it's a different way to look at it, but I really believe that that's played a part.
I think that, and I've had this conversation with parents a lot, that it's a lot easier as a parent to just say yes and give it to them, especially if you have it. And I see guys that don't have it that try because they want to keep up.
Yeah.
I've seen what I do see a lot is it's not about the kids, it's not even about the development. It's about a lot of parents are edifying their ego by the kids.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to get my kid this bat because that kid got that bat and I don't want to be behind. Or I'm going to give my kid this, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to post this on Facebook. It's like a Facebook war of, well, my kid made varsity, my kid made it. He's playing on AAA or major. So a lot of times I don't think it is about the kid. And I think that's also where we're at too, because our generation of parents is different.
It is.
I'm looking at parents now that are trying to be cool as the kids they have. I'm looking at moms, they have Snapchat. They're trying to be cool and doing nefarious stuff. Dads, everybody wants to be cool. And it's not much parenting going on. It's more of, I don't even want to say babysitting, but it's like Disneyland parents of like, I want you to be cool because everybody else is cool. Yeah, go ahead and get this,
Yeah.
this, and this. And they're avoiding, they're forcing their kids to avoid adversity. They're forcing
Yeah.
their kids to avoid failure. As soon as they have adversity, I'm going to go switch teams. I don't like the coach. As soon as the coach holds them accountable for being lazy or whatever, well, you're on my son. Well, he's lazy. Well,
Yeah.
I got to go somewhere else. And then you start getting so like emails from parents and things like that. So when you're taking, and as parents, if you're listening, some of you guys are great because you faced adversity. Some of you guys have been successful in your life, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, or business owner, entrepreneur, things like that, because you faced some adversity. You dealt with no a lot. It's a powerful word. Versus you're taking that away from your kids, unless somehow, some way you are training them or teaching them or instructing them or showing them that, all right, this hard work will get you this. Or, yeah, I'm paying for this because you're doing this, or this, because it's not real life. And then what ends up happening is you guys, these kids get in real life and are like, oh, so I don't get everything anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I have to actually be good at something. And I've seen that happen to a lot of guys. I've seen more high school kids go to college and come back after their first year and they're done because not what they weren't prepared to actually go to the real world, because they've had everybody patting them on the back. The coach couldn't say anything to them. They had to be around the one coach that's going to make them feel good all the time. And they get to college, it's not like that, because the college coach don't care.
Yeah.
And if you don't do what that college coach says, sometimes you have 2 weeks and you're not playing. You might keep your scholarship for a while, but you're going to it's going to be really tough for you to get back into that lineup because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you're spot on. I'll tell you something that just me personally, I'll be honest with you. This year for me, I think was probably my most challenging year as a coach. You know, and you know, first of all, coaching is so rewarding, but it is challenging, right? It's not an easy gig. You know, I think most people would agree on that, but maybe there might be some parents or, you know, people that just watch the games, they think coaching is easy, and it really isn't, right? But it was challenging for me this year because a lot of our players are getting older. You know, they're not 10, 11, 12. Now they're at 14, 15, 16 years old, where they're at the recruiting age. And, you know, although I take a lot of pride, my style of coaching is I don't yell. I don't curse, but I'm very honest. So I'll say things to you like, Corey, if you were playing for me, I'd say, yo, Corey, listen, man, I just don't think you're tough enough. Or I'll be honest with you, Corey, I've been watching these last couple months. You don't work hard enough to compete against the best kids in the state. Now, when I say these things to some of the players, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, when they are dealing with me twice a week for 2 hours and they see me every Saturday and Sunday for 4 straight months, I'm sure they're tired of hearing it from me. You know, but the reason why it was challenging this year as a coach is you go from somebody they're so excited to be around all the time, and oh my God, it's so cool to play for Coach Ray. The energy and the positivity and the Instagram video, this is amazing, until you start having honest conversations. And when coaches have honest conversations, it doesn't mean that they're taking personal attacks. It doesn't mean that they no longer care about that player anymore. In fact, it's the opposite. You know, I tell my players all the time, if you think that I'm being tough, if you think that playing for Coach Ray is hard, you're going to get to college and you're going to look back and say, Coach Ray was soft as butter compared to what these college coaches are and what they expect and what they demand from you. You know, so, you know, coaching is very hard. I think that's why it's very rewarding. We all have an opportunity to make an incredible impact on these young players. And I think that all of us coaches, we have to remember that. There is a way to coach honestly. There is a way to coach hard. There is a way to coach tough, but to do it the right way. And to build these players up and to challenge them and to push them. But if you're a player that's watching this conversation between Corey and I right now, if you want to go on the journey that you and I both had, Corey, if you want to play high-level high school and college and maybe one day play pro ball, you want coaches that are going to challenge you. You want coaches that are going to be honest with you. You want coaches that are going to be tough on you. Because if you don't play for coaches that don't do those 3 things, that coach is doing an injustice for you in your career. I know for a fact I played for one of the most legendary college coaches in the game, and also probably one of the toughest and hardest coaches in college baseball. I always joke around, that kind of coaching is not allowed anymore. And I truly believe in my heart of hearts that if I didn't play for Seton Hall University, if I didn't play for Coach Mike Shepard, I would have played 14 days of pro ball, not 14 years. And I think these kids need to embrace some tough coaching. Tough coaching doesn't have to be negative. Tough coaching does not have to be personal attacks or discouraging. It just has to be honest. And unfortunately, from my perspective, I don't think a lot of players and families are ready for those honest conversations.
Well, and I say this a lot, and you know, kids, parents, whatever. Um, Worry about when the coach is not talking to you. Like I remember in pro ball, like I never forget the time I knew I was getting released, and everybody's cool. Like, oh man, we see you, we like you, blah blah blah. Hey Corey, how's it going on? All of a sudden, it's quiet one day.
Yep.
Man, something ain't right. That's around that time because people know what's happening. But when the coach is on you all the time, respectfully, and we can discern that coach cares.
Oh,
But when the coach stops talking to you, number one, that's when you should worry because either he's given up on you or he wasn't a good coach in the first place. But if he's that coach that's always on you, you should be worried when he's not talking to you anymore.
Yeah. I'm gonna hopefully ask that I can get a clip of you saying that.
Yeah, hey Jacob, we got it, man. Put it on a shirt.
I want an exact clip of you saying that. I'm gonna share it with all of my players because I talk about this with them all the time, and I say to them all the time, the moment your coach stops calling your name, you need to start worrying. I had a player 100%. Say to me sometime this year because we're going through the dog days of summer. It's been a long year. We're pushing the kids. We're challenging them. We're expecting a little bit more to close out the year strong. And one of my players who I absolutely love, like I love this guy. I love all of our players. Believe it or not, it sounds corny, but like this kid, man, like he's been with us for 4 years and he's so talented. And he said to me, he's like, "Yo, Coach Ray, like why are you always on my case?" And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, "Because I care." And I said, the moment I stop calling your name is the day you should start worrying. And it's true. Whether you're just starting in baseball or in the big leagues, you want your coach to call your name and to get on your ass because that means he cares. That means that he expects more from you. That means that the standard is high for you. And you want people in your life that are gonna hold you accountable like that. You want people in your corner that are gonna raise the standards for you, that are gonna push you, right? You just can't have people in your corner that are Cupcake Central and Kumbaya, because if you only have those people in your corner, I promise you're not going to go very far.
I actually had the opposite. I had a kid that was like, man, coach, you're not, you used to say this and do this. I said, I want it more than you want it for yourself. Yeah. I want you to be better than you want to be better for yourself. And you're not putting in the work. And you hit the nail on the head again. Like I say this a lot of my 5 minutes or less of things that I do, but a lot of us as people, and I'm not just saying kids, but I am targeting kids right now because you guys need to learn this, but you guys are trying to keep people around you that let you be mediocre.
Yeah.
Parents, you guys are allowing your kids to hang out with people that are letting you be mediocre.
Yeah.
You parents are hanging out with people that are letting you guys be mediocre, especially if they're letting you guys not do the things that make you and your family or whatever better. I don't like having people around me that won't call me out. If I'm doing something dumb, I've always, for the most part, growing up, I've had friends like, hey, maybe not. Maybe like when I got drafted, I had friends of mine that were doing things they probably shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were good enough friends to be like, nah, Corey, you can't come over right now. I'm like, what's up? Like, well, this is what's happening. We'll call you when we're done. Mm-hmm. You got to play baseball. Come over later on when everything's cool. I'm like, okay, cool. But a lot of you guys tend to hang out with people that only pat you on the back, even when you know it's not right. And because it's that dopamine rush, it makes you feel kind of good.
Yep.
And if most of us as people had accountability partners and or circles of people that are talking about the same things and want to be great, you'll start doing this more as people.
Yep.
So like Ray, I'm going to kind of segue to something really fast. We both play baseball. We both kind of say the same thing a lot about baseball, how it is like an allegory of life. You can have the best swing and be the best person, and you have a bad day. You have a bad day at the plate. You can have a bad day in life. And I'm pretty sure that the lessons that you learned in baseball probably helped you transition into the clothing world. Now you're in the financial world. You handle some of my money. By the way, if you need a financial advisor, holler at my boy Ray. He can put you on the road to some financial success. But I know that a lot of things that we all learn in the professional baseball, whether it be trusting people, things like that, who not to trust, failure, competing, because a lot of you guys are going to be done with baseball one day, going to compete for a job, compete for a girl, whatever it is, compete against anything in life. But with that being said, how does you being an athlete, entrepreneur, how do you separate those things from? How do you separate yourself from being a baseball? How do you balance all those things out? Because I know for me, when I got out of baseball, I hated being the guy that played baseball. I've learned to accept it now because I'm like, you know what? Everything I did was kind of actually awesome. Yeah. But I didn't look at it like that for a long time. Yeah. But I've also really never had much problem, truthfully, saying, okay, I'm done, I'm retired. I don't have that need to go back and play. Yeah. I don't have that. I know guys that are older than me over the last few years are like, man, I can go do it again right now. I got something to prove. And I'm like, I don't have that. Yeah. But how do you separate that identity from being a baseball player, being a guy that had clothes in Bloomingdale's, and being a father, being a husband, things like that? How do you separate that?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, it's a great question. It's probably a very complicated question. I think, I think maybe the reason why some people think that I've done a good job separating is because when I was a baseball player, I was nothing else, man. It was the only thing. It was the only thing that I truly was focused on. It's the only thing I cared about outside of my family. I was obsessed about it, and I was extremely proud to tell people that I was a baseball player and I had tunnel vision. So when that came to an end, and it was no longer an option for me to lace up the cleats, because it does come to an end for all of us, regardless if you're in the big leagues or the minor leagues or playing college. There is a day where it comes to the end, right? I didn't have any regrets. I held the promise that I made to myself that I would play for as long as I could at the highest level that I could. So when I walked away from the game, albeit sad that I got older, I was very, very grateful for how long I got to do it at the level that I did, and I was ready to take a shot at some other things. And whether it was building our Digme brand and working my tail off with our team to get it into national retailers, or whether it was a career pivot that I made a few years ago, now getting in the world of finance. And helping individuals and families and businesses and people like you better plan for a future, or getting married and becoming a father. I think that I've jumped into each one of those roles with the same passion and effort and focus that I did as a baseball player. I think the reason why I'm able to sustain all the punches and failures from those other roles that I am now is because of baseball. Baseball built me. Baseball built me to be a man that has been willing to withstand a ton of failure, take a lot of dings and a lot of dents. And baseball made me realize that even when I got beat down really bad, that there was still something left in me to dig in and swing one more time. So whether it's building a brand or trying to earn the trust of new clients, or being the best husband or father that I could be, for whatever reason, I just have it in me to take another swing and go for it. And I'm a big believer that you could be losing heading into the ninth inning. You really can be losing heading into the ninth inning. But if you play a hard nine, it's not about what the score was throughout the game. It's about what the score is when the game is over. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer that, people could look at my career and my life during my career and now after. Man, he came up short to get into the big leagues, or his brand got to national retailers, but now it's kind of on pause, or he's now a career pivot in his 40s, and maybe he was a little bit older when he bought his first house, or maybe he should be further along. How I look at it is, I'm in the game, I'm taking my best swings, and the game's not over for me yet. And I believe that my best games and my best days are still ahead. And I think ultimately you just have to believe in your heart that you're going to win. Because if you don't believe you're going to win, there's a really good chance you're not.
I've played with a lot of guys, and then you have to obviously again, and you hear a lot of times where guys win the game, they hit a home run in the game, like a World Series, they hit a game-winning home run or something, or they talk about, well, before that at bat, I visualized this, I saw this. This is just the game I played in my head over and over and over. With all the things you've done, right? Like, how important is visualization for you, or self-talk, or like even in baseball, like routines, breathing, things like that? I know that nowadays the mental coaching, mental health is a big deal right now, and I'm happy, because I do think that the mentalities of people now are a lot more weak than they used to be. We could withstand a lot more back in the day. But how important is those things? Self-talk, breathing, the visualization skills.
Yeah, it's beyond valuable. The players and athletes that I played with and against were very strong in that aspect. Now looking back, I could even see some of my teammates that made a point to have that part of who they were. And now I look back and like, man, it wasn't because they were jacked or they just had a great swing. Like, they were on point mentally. And for me, I know a lot of my success in the batter's box. I was a big visualization guy. I watched a ton of video before every game. I created, 1 minute highlight videos of me hitting line drive after line drive, and I would watch it before every single game. I'd have my headphones on. I'd listen to the same Jay-Z song. I'd be sipping on my black cup of coffee, and I'd watch that 1 minute. And when the video was over, I'd take off my headphones and I'd walk down the tunnel. And I had convinced myself that that is the only thing I did was hit line drives. And I think, now outside of baseball, I think some of my big moments, like building Dig Me, I pictured our hats and our shirts getting on those shelves. But in contrast, I'll give you a quick example, man. This has been one of the most challenging years of my personal life this year. It's been a tough year. And it has also been a year where I don't think I have been the best coach that I've been in the past. I don't know if I have been at the level that I have been at the office. I don't know, even to be honest, have I been at the same level as a husband and father, because it's just been a challenge. And the reason why I share that is I bet you my self-talk or my self-doubt or just letting some sad times really get to me, I'm sure there's a direct correlation why 2025 will not go down as my most productive year. Now, with that said, I think one of the biggest steps for any athlete or any person in general is the moment you acknowledge that is the moment that you're going to figure it out. And you know me well. The kind of player I was that when I had a bad season, I would tell people all the time, I'm not a betting man, but I would have bet against me next year. Yeah. So this has been a tough year for me. But we're coming to the end of the year, and I'm super excited for 2026 because I know I'm not playing baseball anymore, but I don't let 2 bad seasons happen in a row.
What is success for you?
Wow, that's the question for everyone in life, right? This is going to sound corny. I used to think success was batting 300 with 20 or 25 jacks and fans cheering your name and showing up at the stadium and hearing rumors that you might get re-signed, or maybe someone thinks you can play in the big leagues. And don't get me wrong, all of that was awesome. But now I know real success is having people that love you, having health,
yeah,
and having the opportunity to go out there and be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. And I know it sounds so like blah, but it's true, man. There are a lot of people in this world right now that maybe don't have people that love them, maybe don't have a family, maybe don't feel like they're on the right track. And for me, I'm hard on myself. Do I think that I could be a little bit further along in life? Of course. but I have a beautiful wife. I have the dopest little daughter in the history of daughters, at least I believe. I have the coolest dog in the history of dogs, I believe. And I believe that tomorrow morning I have another chance to be a better advisor at the office. I have another chance to be a better coach than I was last weekend. Um, and I have a chance to be better than I was yesterday. And as long as you have that and you have your health, you're pretty darn successful.
So I'm nosy, and I go to your page sometimes, and I look at your pictures. I don't look at many people's lives every now and again, but every now and then I go and check and see what you're doing, man. I check random dudes out, and I see you posting pictures and videos, and it's your wife, and I've obviously talked to her a couple of times. Apparently, you guys work together, but but I see that. I see your daughter. I see the dog. I see how y'all look at each other. I see your family happy to spend time with you. Out of all the things that we have seen done, we've seen money, we've seen Hall of Famers, we've seen movie stars, we've done a lot, we've accomplished a lot of things, hit a lot of homers. We've done things that people had never dreamed of and seen. And this is just not even outside of baseball. But when I look at you buying a house with your lovely wife and your daughter and your dog, and I look at you posting pictures of your family, I look at people generally happy to be around you and help. That's what I'm like, raised successful. Because at the grand scheme of things, I've seen a lot of guys that have made shit tons of money, that have accomplished so many goals, and there's nobody there. And or, there's just nobody there. They have nobody. They don't have genuine people around them. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, I've gone through a divorce, and my kids are old now, but like, I look at my failures coming up, and I'm like, I look at your life and I'm like, that's a success. Like, having people generally happy to watch you walk through that door is a success for me.
Well, first of all, that means a lot coming from you. You and I go way back, man. I think one of the greatest gifts of my career, of course, we'll all agree, is like, people say, "Oh, do you miss playing?" Of course, we miss playing, but we miss the boys, right? We miss
100%.
We miss our teammates, right? And although we all say that, and we do mean it, I take a lot of pride in keeping my circle small. And you have been one of the guys that has stood the test of time for me.
Hanging on by a thread, bro.
Yeah, we live in different parts of the country, and yet we've remained in touch, and we talk all the time. And you're one of my boys for life, right? And for you to say that, it means a lot. And listen, I appreciate that a lot. And do I think you're right? I do. Now, don't get it twisted. My life, I always say, is a glorified disaster every single day. But I'm hustling, and I'm trying to figure this game called life out with a wife who loves me, a daughter who thinks I'm the man, at least right now. And life is hard, man. It is. Just like you, juggling a career and juggling a business, and we have too many bills, and sometimes you feel like you have more bills than you have money coming in, or one day you feel like your businesses are going to kill it and money's not a problem, right? It's such a roller coaster. But what I will tell you is, to your point about success, is I think ultimately a successful person is something that, if that person lost everything, will the people that love them, will they still ride with you? And I know that if I lost everything again, would we be scared? Yes. Would we be disappointed? Yes. But we would hold each other's hands really, really tight and know that we were going to get to the other side. And I think, to your point, I think people lose sight on that. Do I want to make more money? Yes. Do I want to open a couple more businesses? Yes. Do I have goals? Of course. But like you said, I know a lot of people throughout my career in business. Listen, I'm in the financial world where I meet a lot of people that are uber successful, and sometimes I leave those meetings, and my first thought is, I wouldn't trade to be in their shoes. So yeah, man, success is just having the right people in your corner and having the right people who care about you. But ultimately, caring about the right people as well too. And I
100%.
feel like I have a small circle and I care about the right people, and you're one of them, man.
We got to do it again, Ray.
No doubt.
So we got
First
to
of all,
get.
listen. I know. Listen, we probably went far. I'm going to say this, man. I love what you're doing. Of course, me and you were kind of doing the same thing, So I'm sure I'll have you um, on my side somewhere down the road. But dude, man, I'm honored. You guys are doing great work, all you guys over there, Hearts and Minds. But I saw your list of guests already, and and I apologize if I'm forgetting all of them. But I mean, Chipper Jones,
That's my boy, man.
Josh Donaldson, and then all of a sudden, Coach Ray all day. I'm not quite sure that I deserve to be on here with you, but I'm grateful. This was awesome, and I'm hoping some of the snippets or sound bites, if we share them, I hope that enough parents and players and fellow coaches, whether they're in Texas or New Jersey or anywhere in the world, I hope they can take some of our words and learn something. Because one thing I'm proud about for both you and I is we did it, man. We went through the fire, and I'm proud of that. There's no doubt about it.
That's what I had to realize, man. I had to get out of that mentality of I had to one day wake up and I was like, man, you know what? I'm actually proud of myself.
Hell yeah, man.
Because I've never felt that before. I've got to finish my book. I've got to edit it right now, but a lot of it's about that. It's about where I started and where I finished, and there's some baseball snippets and stuff. A lot of things we talked about, but I had to be proud of what I've done. And I look back and I'm like, crap, man. I'm like, played in multiple countries. I got almost 400 home runs, if not 400. I'm like, I'm one of the few guys that can say that they had multiple supposed to be career-ending injuries, but still played 18 years of ball. Somebody still wanted to sign you. So I'm like, that to me was like, man, I've been on almost out of the game, but apparently I had enough talent somewhere where somebody's like, nah, come back. Nah, come back. Nah, come back. And so I had to learn to be proud of myself and say, you know what, I did a good job. Because there's nobody, I can't remember anybody saying that. So I'm like, but we're gonna have you here.
I want to say one more thing, and then then I'll let you go, right, real quick to that point. I couldn't be more proud of you for getting in this space, sharing more about your coaching journey, your experiences, right? You should be damn proud about your career, because 99.9999% of people that ever play baseball would dream and have dreamt about doing what you did. But what I admire and appreciate about what you're doing is, and I tell myself this too sometimes, is, dude, man, for anyone who's watching this right now, it's never too late for you to put yourself out there and make an impact. It's never too late for you to share your story and to be an inspiration or to help motivate someone else to do the same thing. I tell people all the time, you don't have to be a celebrity to make a big time impact. You just have to be willing to share your story, share your journey, and show people how you were able to get to certain places in your life. And I think that you're doing that. And I think more people need to watch, and more people need to listen, more people need to learn. So I'm going to make sure you keep doing it, man. But one of these days, we're going to have to do it together live somewhere.
We still got to go. We still got to go speak one day. That's my ultimate goal, man. I want to be able to go and just talk to people and just share experiences or ideas and things that I know that do work. And yeah, man. So we'll be talking offline about that. Guys, again, download the app, check us out. Ray, I love you, big dog. I will be talking to you soon as usual. 100%. And man, tell the wife I said hello. Go pet the dog for you, and go be awesome for your daughter, bro.
I will, man. I appreciate it, Cora. All the best, man. Peace.
All right, big dog.
See ya.